Everyone, welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be sharing with you different SaaS softwares that have crossed $1 million. Yes, the big 7 digits. Before we get into that, let me just get some housekeeping out the way. I'll leave some links in the description sharing with you guys how I was able to build my SaaS empire over time. Some free resources. You can go ahead and check them out. But for today's video, like I said, we're going to focus on these different SaaS softwares that have crossed $1 million. I'll go over these tools, we'll talk about them, and more importantly, we'll explain kind of what they do. And yeah, let's get into it. So obviously, as you can see, the very first tool is a tool called Canny. Now, Canny was an interesting tool. Over time, this tool first started as a web notifications browser type app. So if you're familiar with some websites, for example, let's use like Market Hero, also known as Hyros now, Alex Becker's tool. One of the things he did to really blow up on the scene is he would catch a lot of traffic through ads, and then he would put them on his website that would essentially force you to turn on web notifications. So he would send out these web notifications. And guess what he used? He used Canny. Canny was one of them. Canny has actually kind of changed with time now. It's not as much a browser notifications application. It's really more about, well, customer feedback. They do have a bunch of different products, as you can see. It's not the only thing that they have, but the thing that they're most known for currently, their largest and more successful product, is their customer feedback kind of automation flow. And the way it works is you connect Canny to your products and essentially your whole income flow, right? You can connect it through Stripe, showing all your transactions. And then once the transaction goes through, you can kind of program what kind of softwares it can communicate with your customers through to ask them for some sort of feedback. Now, that feedback could be as simple as, you implementing a link so that people can select them for reviews, right? So like, for example, Trustpilot reviews, or it could be something where you open a new source of dialogue, asking consumers, how can we improve our product, things like that. You could think of it as almost like a CRM on steroids, I guess you can say, that has automation, but without the CRM aspect, okay, if that makes sense. Because a CRM, although you are, managing customers and your relations between the customers, this doesn't exactly do that. This is really more focused on the automation side of things. You can plug your CRM into Canny, and you can thereby reach more people. You could see here there's this little, I guess you could say, advertisement or banner showing essentially how it works. But you can select it to Slack, Salesforce. Salesforce is a CRM, obviously, and many other kind of apps. All right, so that's the first app. It's called Canny, canny.io. Number 2, the second one is Kit. Now, Kit.com has not always been Kit.com. It's known as ConvertKit. ConvertKit blew up on the scene by the founder. I forget what his name is, but I know he first started promoting ConvertKit to bloggers. And bloggers were his main customer base, and this was many years ago. And what he kind of did was he made ConvertKit essentially easier to use than his competitors. At the time, he had MailerLite as a competitor. He had other kind of sales automation, email newsletter softwares as competitors. MailChimp was one of them. But ConvertKit had a little bit of an edge. It wasn't just a way that you can control or gain more email subscribers to your newsletter. You could create a little bit of landing pages. You can create email opt-ins. You could do a few different things with ConvertKit. ConvertKit changed over time. You can create landing pages. You can create much more now. And you can see kind of the range in pricing, but it's really more focused through email sequencing. That's their main pricing structure and their main pricing model. So it is quite interesting, and it is quite useful overall for most people who are in the business of being, a social media influencer. You have YouTubers, you have people who have newsletters, you have actors and actresses and singers. All kinds of people use ConvertKit. Speaking of people who use ConvertKit, the person that really sticks out to me the most, Pat Flynn. Pat Flynn, this guy was like the number one promoter of ConvertKit for like a good 4 years straight, right? It was huge. And he was one of the first people to talk about it. Tim Ferriss, I think, used it from day one, but he didn't like really go out there and promote it and talk about it. He was just using it for his 4-Hour Workweek book and all that kind of stuff. So that's ConvertKit, aka kit.com. Next one is retention.com. Now, retention.com is quite interesting because it's not like a normal, I guess you could say, kind of SaaS. There's more to it. Well, just put it that way. Retention.com helps you focus on the one thing that actually matters, which is consumer retention. A lot of the times people say it's easier to have a customer pay you 10 times than to find 10 new customers. That's potentially true. I mean, 99% of the time that's true. Obviously, there's going to be some odd circumstances where that doesn't play a case, but retention.com helps you do that. From, online marketing, you can connect it to your Shopify, you can connect it to your WordPress, you can connect it to a lot of things, but retention.com, like I said, has all these different, I guess you could say, modules within it of different products that allow you to, like I said, reach more people. You can go here to solutions. You can see these different kind of solutions. You can use it for publishers, Shopify kind of stuff, mid-market stuff, creating more campaigns with marketing tools, even ads, things like that. It kind of helps you manage that kind of stuff a little bit better. The next one is called Databricks. Now, Databricks, when people hear about it, they don't usually think of a multi-million-dollar company or even $1 million company. But what Databricks helps you essentially do is you collect your data, right? You plug it into Databricks. You start creating some organization on Databricks. You kind of allocate data. You tag data. You give basically Databricks the information around your data. The AI will process your data, and it will kind of understand what you're looking to do. And then from there, it will compare your results to other people. And then finally, it will help you retarget, find new customers by essentially reaching out to its whole entire flow of people that it's reached to previously through customers and things like that. But it's essentially using data from other consumers and your consumers, pasting it all together with the use of AI, and kind of finding new outcomes, right? Whether it be creating new ads campaigns and things like that. There's a lot of things that Databricks can actually do. It is quite interesting. You could look a little bit into it, but you could see their kind of testimonials here. JetBlue soars on data, Condé Nast, all kinds of different companies that use this kind of stuff. Once again, for small and medium entrepreneurs, Databricks is not something you're probably going to use or even need to use. Basic targeting, ads, things like that will do you fine. You don't need Databricks, but they are a strong component for large companies. So that's another one. Okay, here, Intercom. Intercom helps small and large companies alike. Intercom is a huge company that easily reached $1 million quite early in its infancy stage. But basically what Intercom does is Intercom was one of the first tools ever on a mass market scenario to allow you, the owner of a website, to have you or your staff communicate with your customers on your website screen. So just like this, you see this little pop-up right here in the bottom right-hand side of my screen. Let me go ahead and show you guys. Let me angle my screen a little bit better. You see that little pop-up? Well, that is Intercom. You can go in here, you can put in your email, you start communicating, start talking with whoever's on that other side. This kind of technology has existed for a while, but Intercom is the one that really put it on board. Companies like Blackstone Labs, it was on the Inc. 500 list many years ago, Redcon One, all kinds of different supplement companies, sales companies, Grant Cardone Enterprises. I mean, you name it, pretty much any large-scale company has used it, or at least similar technology, and even small to medium-sized scale companies use it. So that's Intercom. Pretty simple, pretty easy to understand. All these different SaaS softwares, okay, have crossed and surpassed $1 million quite quickly. I mean, if you really think about it, over the long term, they did it pretty early on. So why does that matter? Why are we even talking about this? Well, if you want to build a SaaS, we have to think of mass market application. We have to think of how many people can legitimately get into this. Now, I've talked about this before. My personal choice is using the micro SaaS template. or the micro SaaS kind of mindset, which is my goal is not to really reach out to too many people. I'm in a small little niche. I dominate the niche relatively quickly in a matter of weeks to months. I, spread my information pretty far and quick, and people in the industry know who I am and want to buy my product in reference to SaaS, right? I'm not talking about me personally, but I'm talking about the SaaS business that I'm trying to push. And from that standpoint, when I do this kind of stuff, I'm essentially engulfing the market relatively quickly because these niches are micro niches that I'm jumping into. They're not large, advanced, complicated niches with large amounts of demographics. They're quite small and quite predictable. And that just allows me to personally diversify my income. Now, whether you are going to be jumping into the larger SaaS world or the micro SaaS world, that's up to you. But the point is clear. Anybody in that specific niche that you're going to serve should be an ideal customer for you. Whether you want to be $1 million company, 6-figure company, or even a 5-figure company, you're still going to want to do or keep in your mind those kind of practices to gain as far, as much a distance as you can in this kind of SaaS world. At the end of the day, SaaS is one of the most rewarding type businesses because, yes, it takes a little while to find a customer, but once you get that customer, there's a high chance that they're going to be paying you for a little while. Of course, every business is different, and every business has a different burn rate and things like that. But drop-off rates are controllable within SaaS, and they could really be testable. And more importantly, you can use analytics to study these kind of things. So with that being said, if you're thinking about getting into SaaS and you still haven't done it yet, maybe let's let this video be your motivator. Maybe it might be the reason why you hunker down and try to come up with something. So hopefully this video helps. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching, and peace out. Bye.